In this episode, we're taking a look back at some of our favorite industry insider interviews and what made them stand out to us. We are also joined by Marcus Hall, the founder of the Kingdom Choice Awards, to talk about this year's show. Let's go.
Message heavy, don't rhyme, show they not ready. Race against the time like four wheels and Andretti. Keep it steady, beat it hard and they belly. Give them ears and hear the truth in the light. Throw confetti, message heavy, don't rhyme, show they not ready. Race against the time like four wheels and Andretti. Keep it steady, beat it hard and they belly. Give them ears and hear the truth in the light. Throw confetti, just the flip of the watch, it's game time. Time, flip of the watch, it's game time. Game vibes, just a flip of the watch, it's game time. Game time, 20, flip of the watch, it's game time. Game time, just a flip of the watch, it's game time. 20, flip of the watch, it's game time. 5, just a flip of the watch, it's game time. 520, flip of the watch, it's game time. 520.
520 Collective. Listen every day or get robbed. I'm kidding.
Welcome to the 520 Collective podcast, indie Christian culture. Make sure you check out 520collective.com. We got lots of great content on there as well as past episodes of the podcast. So hit us up there. It is Eric Boston. I am joined by my guy, Zero for Hire. What's good?
I'm from the Great Lakes region where I'm not sure if Eminem is a Christian or not.
Dude, I mean, according to DJ Khaled.
I was really excited, and then I called you, and you were like, bro, that song came out 2 years ago. And I was like,
well,
wait, what?
It didn't come out.
How is this a thing?
It didn't come out 2 years ago, but it was recorded a couple of years ago.
Like, it didn't come out, but it was recorded. Yeah, and I was like real confused. But then you knew all this history about it that I didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can also be honest with the fact that not only was it recorded 2 years ago, it probably wasn't ever going to be released, right? I mean, because Jesus is King 2 hasn't happened. Don't know that it will happen. And I'm guessing by the fact that Khaled was able to get his hands on that song, it's probably not going to happen. So, you know, he just took advantage of the situation.
Paid a pretty penny
right?
for it too.
Yeah. So Khaled wanted to make this album called God Did, and he's like, yo, that song right there would probably fit with what I'm trying to pull over on people. So
yes, staying on the vein of things that are old. What else we got going on here?
So not old, but I do want to share, we've got some big news that I'm excited about for the platform. It is that time of year where we get the wheels rolling on the Wavemaker Awards here at 520 Collective. So last year was our first year of Wavemaker, and yeah, man, I thought it went well. You know, we'd had the Rookie of the Year awards that we'd given out our first 2 years, and then we moved over to these Wavemaker Awards. We added a second award last year. Well, we're going bigger this year, man. So I wanted to announce right here on this podcast that we are partnering with Trackstars this year. So it's the 520 Collective Wavemaker Awards powered by Trackstars. And we got a lot of exciting things that we're going to share as we get closer to that time. But one thing we can tell you, well, there's a couple of things that we can share with you. First of all, we're going from 2 awards to 10 categories this year. You know, a short little rundown. This isn't an all-inclusive list, but we have the Artist of the Year and Project of the Year like we had last year. We are adding Single of the Year, Lyricist of the Year, Collaboration, Breakthrough Artist, Cover Art, and a few more. So we've got our list of nominees. They're still not complete because we're still waiting between now and about the middle of October or early October to finalize those nominee lists. And what's going to happen is we're going to open up fan voting from October 15th through November 11th for the votes to come in and determine who our finalists for those categories are going to be. So be on the lookout for that. We will have more information for you in next month's podcast as well. But the other thing I wanted to share about it is with more categories means we've got some opportunities being able to sponsor an award. So if you would like to sponsor one of our categories this year for the Wavemaker Awards, hit us up. Hit our DM, email us, contact@520club.com. Let us know you're interested. You can get the full details, but you could be an official award sponsor in this year's Wavemaker Awards, and it's a first come first serve on that. But I don't know, man, I'm excited about it, dude. We got some cool stuff happening. Talking with Ryan Righteous at Trackstars, and he's fully on board, fully invested in wanting to make this, a pretty cool deal this year. So we're gonna have some more exciting stuff to announce soon, dude.
I do have a piece of news myself that I forgot to mention before we started recording, so I'll just drop it on you.
Yeah, man.
All of a sudden, this Friday, I did live my 100th episode of the 0 Hour Podcast, and we'll be dropping it into the RSS stream.
Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, man. 100 episodes. That's way more episodes than we have.
100 episodes.
So Zero's been grinding, man.
When I started this show like 2 years ago, if you told me that I would be recording my 100th episode in pajama pants, eating pizza rolls in my living room, I would have totally believed you, because that sounds like something I would do.
I say, isn't that how most people record podcasts? Maybe I don't know enough. I don't know. I just assume that's the norm. Yeah, man. Congrats on that, man. I know you've been doing it for a while. It's exciting. And honestly, man.
Gonna grind.
Yeah. Well, dude, and here's the thing, man. Regardless of, I know there are certain people in music, right, that get overlooked. There's people in the podcast world that get overlooked too, right? And I know that you do not get the amount of support that I feel like your show should get, honestly. But I'll tell you this, man. The one thing about it over these last few years, just watching you, man, you've been an inspiration for me, and just your willingness and the way you go about your business.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Congratulations on 100 episodes. So someday we'll get there.
In this podcasting world, what we do, you got to put in your work. You got to pay your dues. And when a lot of people, you get to that 100 mark, and then people might start looking at you. You get to that, 200 episode mark, and then you might start getting some attention. So you really got to put in your dues in order to establish credibility if you're not already a celebrity in this podcast world.
So, hey, we let them in on a little bit of news last episode, right? And that was, not only are we the 520 Collective Podcast, but now we can say we are the Kingdom Choice Award nominated 520 Collective Podcast. So speaking of the KCAs, this month's Industry Insider interview features none other than Marcus Hall. He is the founder of Kingdom Time Entertainment, which is the company that runs the Kingdom Choice Awards. Excited to have him on the podcast. So stick around for the Industry Insider interview this month with Marcus Hall. Exciting stuff there. KCA is coming up on October 1st. And, Zero, when we were talking and we were planning out this month's episode, and we thought about this Kingdom Choice Award nomination that we got for podcast/radio show of the year, we were like, hey, man, how did we get here? How did this happen? We started really looking at some of like the interviews that we've done over the past, almost 4 seasons now. And we were like, dang, man, we've done some really, really fun interviews, man. And you brought up the idea of like, let's talk about them, because you were like, there's some of these interviews that I've listened to that I wanted to go deeper on. And I was like, that could be cool. I've also thought, man, it'd be awesome if we get someone else from the team on here besides just you and myself to talk about these. So I want to introduce the man that is joining us for this episode from the team, DJ J. Shane. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Well, or not, you're actually going to keep that in the mix, huh?
We'll see. I mean,
it's about to get exclusive.
Shane, thank you for hopping in the podcast with us, man. Just introduce yourself real quick. Tell people where they can follow you.
DJ J. Shane. My goodness, at DJ, the letter J, and then Shane afterwards. All the social media. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter is DJAYJ Shane, SHANE. That's where you can find me. I am Christian hip hop and Christian EDM music history nerd, and that's my vein. That's where I like to hang out. So
the Christian hip hop historian is what we're pushing for here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll take that title.
Zero, since this was your idea and you were like, man, there was some of these interviews that really jumped out to me. Let's start with you, man, and share some of these clips that just caught your ear that you wanted to talk some more about.
So every month when you put out the full interview, the non-clipped version of the interviews. There's always some little snippets in there. Sometimes it makes it into the show, sometimes it doesn't. I was just looking for things that really got my brain going. So Kelly Cole was like one of the first names that came to mind when I was deciding to do this. This is a man that every time I hear him talk, he's full of ideas. He has this clip here where he's talking about how to put together a book in a weekend. Now, it's not an exhaustive, comprehensive thing, but the way that he goes about doing it just shows you just how unique of a mind he has here.
Yeah, man. So I could tell a person how to write a book in a weekend. So we got, what's today? Today is Wednesday or Thursday? Today's Wednesday, right? So say for instance, someone got an idea for a book and I could tell them how to get it done this weekend. So the first step would be, and I call this my grocery store method. If you are a smart grocery store shopper, before you go to the grocery store, you make a list, correct? You make a list of the things you need, right? So that's the same way with a book. You're going to make a list. You're going to simply make a list of the things you want to cover in the book. And essentially, that's your outline. So you're going to create an outline first. It's just a list. That's all I want you to do. So what you're going to do on day one. You're going to make a list. And then here's the second part of day one, okay? Under each thing on the list, you're going to write out, let's just say 5 questions that someone would have about that thing on the list, okay? We're going to call those things chapter titles. So each chapter title, you're going to write 5 questions that someone would have about that chapter title, okay? That's Friday. That's all you need to do on Friday. Make your list of chapters and then write a list of 5 questions under each chapter title. All right, that's all I want you to do on Friday. Saturday, what I want you to do is contact a friend and tell them we're going grocery shopping, okay? And what you're going to do is have a friend interview you and ask you those questions that's under each chapter title. That's all you're going to do on Saturday. Have a friend interview you, record it. You can use Zoom or freeconferencing.com or whatever platform you want to use to record it. All right. Once you have the recording, what you want to do on Sunday is you want to upload that recording to a place called rev.com. That's rev.com. And in 24 hours, they're going to send you a document, a Word document, and it's going to be the transcription of your book. And bam, your book is done. So all you need to do is tighten up that document, make sure things are in order, and then that's when you contact the company like me, and we'll take you from there as far as the editing, the formatting, book cover, ISBN, distribution, and all of that. But that's simple. That's how you create a book in a weekend.
Yeah, man. So let's jump into this clip here. But before we do, I do want to mention, Zero said some of these clips, they may be from the full interviews that we released. So if you're only listening to the main episodes of the podcast, make sure you're following us, on your favorite podcasting platform, because a lot of these interviews are much longer than what gets into the final podcast episode. So towards the end of each month, we drop the full interview with our guests. So just a little FYI there for you. But I've got some thoughts on this clip. But Zero, I want to start with you. What made this stand out for you?
It was the unconventional, almost irreverent way he approaches it. Everybody like that writes a book, they act like, oh, I'm writing a book, and like he just breaks it down in a really practical way. It's any man's game, and he makes it very accessible, very simple. It's very simple to make a cup of coffee, but people still pay $8 for a cup of coffee.
Right? Yeah.
Not everybody's going to do this method, even though that stuff is out there. But it's impressive to me how he thinks.
So here's what I enjoyed about that interview with Kelly. You're spot on when you say that he just sees and thinks about things different than a lot of people. And not only that, but he's very open and willing to share that process, which you don't get from everybody, right?
Yeah, not stingy with information.
But why this stood out for me, working as a special education teacher, it connected with me, right? I've been where I work in the math classrooms, right? And you got kids who, just struggle. There's no way I can do math, right? I'm terrible at it. It's not going to work. But whenever you stop and get them to see, hey, all this is a process that you're going to repeat. So let's turn that process into a checklist for you. And then every time you get the problem, start at the top of your checklist and mark it off as we go, right? That's the approach I've worked with them. And you see a change, and they start to find out, I can do this. And that's what Kelly's doing here with this. Like I told him, I was like, I've wanted to write a book for a while. I've started a couple and never really get very far with it. And I think it's because when you're like just sitting down and you're like, okay, I'm just going to write, it's a daunting thing.
His whole process kind of revolutionizes the whole aspect to writing a book, whether it's putting the ideas in place, where it's the visibility of what you want to accomplish. And that's extremely helpful. I know that for me, I kind of like what you said. There's books that I'm writing on. They're on the fiction end rather than the nonfiction end, but it's one of those where, like, if you can put certain pieces in place, like what he's talking about, it can take you from start to finish, and you can actually start to see projects come to completion. So
the thing about this setup is you can apply it to a lot of different things, right? Artists could apply this to how they're going to create an album, right? It's about creating just those habits of, hey, instead of me just going willy-nilly into this process, let me create some sort of just way to track what I'm doing.
I did start using a very similar method after listening to this for stuff that, like podcast planning and stuff.
Right, exactly. Because sure, you can just throw stuff at the wall and freestyle it the whole way. And you may get to where you want to go. It may take you longer than it needs to, right? Whereas if you sit down for 30 minutes, think through and create that roadmap for yourself, all of a sudden, these endeavors, they become, just an easier thing to tackle. So love it. Love Kelly Cole. Can't wait for him to be back on the podcast soon, hopefully. So.
Okay, so the next one was much more, I don't know if it was much more recent, but I almost didn't pull this one, but I wanted to, because there seems to be multiple factors contributing to this disillusion of put something out there, go viral, get big. I mean, TikTok. I didn't mean this to turn into a preachy moment, but I mean, all arrows seem to be pointing in that direction, including the next clip.
The most important thing is all artists should have some kind of 1-minute performance video. It's the one thing we ask for, is where can we see a performance of you? And I can't tell you how many times I get sent to just an Instagram, like not even a specific Instagram video, which is fine, but to an Instagram page. So now I have to scroll through and find your videos. No curator is going to do that. Or I get sent like to some behind the scenes thing that's set to someone else's music. I don't want to hear Jay-Z when I'm trying to get a sense of who you are as an artist and what your performance is like. So those are probably the two biggest mistakes. And I think it's really worth investing as an artist in. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be super curated. But what most festival producers are looking for, especially at this stage, right? When you're not as known or you don't have the kind of backing already, is I want to see how you engage with the audience. I want to see how you come on and get a show started. I want to see you perform. I want to hear you sing. I want to see how you move around the stage. I want to see what connection you're making with your audience. And then I want to see how the audience is reacting to that. If they're vibing, if their hands are in the air, if they're moving around, or are they all just sitting and chit-chatting, that tells me a lot about the kind of artist that you are. And especially now, as there's more virtual shows happening, you can get really creative about how you curate that. But I think that's it's a really good thing to invest in. And it can be as simple as you ask a friend, hey, can you record me when I perform? Or you just set up in your kitchen or your bedroom and just having something that's a little thoughtful. That's really, really, really important. And then the other thing I would say is please check your emails, because like, I know, and I get it, like it'll take me 3 months sometimes to respond to an email that takes 10 seconds, but there are missed opportunities, y'all, in your inbox. And so if you're going to submit to a festival, you should probably check for those responses as well. But that's just, I think that's we want people to succeed, but just simple things like please follow instructions, please hyperlink your links. The more you make,
we're saying the more you make it easier to find you, then the easier it is on the curators.
Yeah, and that was Nora Rahimian. She's co-host of Office Hours with Nora and Stowe. But when you heard that clip, what made you go, oh?
Practical, simple, easily implemented ideas and steps that are clear, they're concise, and they make a lot of sense. Like, even in my years as a musician, that wasn't really something that I thought of, like, oh, a minute long, like, performance or trailer. Like, that would be really good for a curator, because most of us don't think about things from the perspective of the curator. You don't want to be caught with your pants down because you haven't thought of these things.
Man, I'm sitting here nodding, shaking my head to everything she's saying. And it all comes down to, and hear my heart on this, stop being lazy. It's one thing if you don't know. If you're an artist and you don't know and you haven't been educated, you get a pass. But if you're listening to this podcast and you're listening to what I'm saying and what we're saying, once you hear what we're saying, then you don't get a pass anymore. There are tons of resources. At the end of the day, what we're trying to say, or what I'm trying to say, is you should have an idea of where you want to go. So whether you're working at McDonald's or Starbucks or Marshalls or Kohl's, or regardless of where you're working, if you're an artist who wants to build, right? You're an artist who wants to grow. You're an artist who feels like the Lord has called you to either be an MC or to be a singer or whatever the case may be. Educate yourself into what you need.
Yeah, so for me, I really enjoyed this interview with Nora, and I enjoy interviews like this. The reason that this clip in particular connects with me is because I believe it's at the heart of why 520 exists in the first place, right? 520 was created to be a place for independent artists, even if you just started a month ago, right? People that are trying to do this thing called faith-based hip-hop, Christian hip-hop, CHH, whatever, but they're trying to figure it out, right? We wanted to make a place where, hey, we will come alongside you. We will try to give you resources the best that we can, right? And one of those resources is this podcast, and is, connecting with people like Nora Rahimian, who has information that no matter how long you've been doing music, you can take it, you can digest it, and you can apply it, right? So that's why I was just really appreciative of that interview and what she's saying in this clip here in particular, because I think it's an opportunity to give some guidance, to give some direction to artists who are trying to figure it out, because we get it, right? We're trying to figure it out with podcasting. We're trying to figure it out with what we're doing on the website, right? And so we look to other people who we've connected with who are farther along in the game with us, right? Like, I'm on the phone with Ryan Righteous from Trackstars on a regular basis, and I'm picking his brain and I'm asking questions because they've done that work, right? They had laid out a roadmap that we were able to follow and we were able to look at, right? And so that just goes to taking the time to, to soak up information when it's available. Like I said, some of these people that we're talking to, they may be throwing out their information that they are kind of assigning to artists, right? But dude, there's so much of it that it just applies to creatives across the board. And so whenever I hear it, I start connecting those dots and saying, okay, how can we use it as a platform? How can we use that information as well, right? And so, like, Zero, when you asked me, what was one interview that really stood out for you, my mind automatically went to our interview with Brian Zizuk, the co-founder of AudioMac.
Zippy Share and Lime Links and Mega Upload, not the greatest tools to disseminate your work freely on the internet. And so, whether it be malware or spyware on the family computer, or pop-ups with viruses, or the links expiring, we identified a problem. And the solution was to offer DJ Booth as a means to host projects for artists so that they knew these links would not expire. They wouldn't have to incur the cost of servers or bandwidth, and they had a dedicated space to direct people to download and or stream their music. But, you know, we did that for a few years, and we recognized very quickly that was not our core competency. We were not, as a website, set up to become a streaming service. We didn't have the infrastructure in place. We sort of built it as we went. And so AudioMac was birthed as a solution that originally presented itself in what we were doing at DJ Booth to fix this problem for artists who wanted a way to share their mixtapes freely online.
So this is what resonated with me there. It's not about going out here and figuring out how do I play the game in order to benefit me. That's not it. He said that
especially as a platform,
anybody, because, and I'm gonna circle around to this in just a second, but what Brian said is they noticed a problem, and instead of saying, "Oh well, that sucks," that problem exists. Is it a problem for us? No, okay, we're gonna keep on. No, they noticed a problem and they said, "How can we offer a solution?" As Christians, as people in the indie Christian culture, there is a problem. There is people who don't know about Jesus, who don't consider him their Lord and Savior. And we've got platforms in place that God has given us in order to solve a problem. Yes, it's awesome when we can connect and we can gain followers and we can get streams and people are hearing our content. But at the end of the day, what's that result that you're wanting? What's the result that we're wanting? It should be to solve the problem that people are facing. Right?
That deserves an air horn.
So stop thinking about it as, how is XYZ going to benefit me? Start looking at problems and saying, okay, how has God positioned me in order to solve this problem? Like, whenever I re-listened to this, as we were getting ready for this episode, I think I kind of forgot it because, I mean, it was almost a year ago that we did this interview, and I was like, dang, are we doing this? I mean, I feel like we try to, you know, shout out to the rest of the team, and, you know, especially, you know, like our guy King David, and Darius Mullen and the rest of the guys on the team. You know, we get together, we have these conversations, and we say, okay, where do we feel like we need to adjust? Where do we need to pivot? And I think kind of that heart of trying to make sure that 520 is offering some solutions is at the center of that. But I think we even could be more intentional in that aspect as well. And I think anyone, you know, artists are in a great position to offer some solutions to people who desperately need it. Man, that interview with Brian Zizik was fantastic as well. So go back and listen to it if you haven't, because he had Brian Zizik is so smart, man. And he knows the music industry. Go and do that. Yeah. So, and another person who saw a problem and started offering solution is Marcus Hall, who's our industry insider interview for this month. Kingdom Choice Awards, Kingdom Time Entertainment founder. So I want you to hear this. We had a great discussion about how the awards show got started, how they've grown, and where they are at now, where God has positioned them to impact people, impact lives. So stick around after the break and make sure that you check out the Industry Insider interview with Marcus Hall here on the 520 Collective Podcast. Let's go. Artist, what is the key to getting your music to your target listener? Making sure that your catalog is available where people are listening. Trackstars is helping independent artists do just that with Nectar Distro. Sign up for Nectar today to have your music delivered for you to all the major digital streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, SoundCloud, YouTube, and much, much more. Go to 520collective.com/nectar. That's NECTAR now to sign up and keep 100% of your royalties along with all of your music rights. with monthly payouts, comprehensive reports, specialty tools like the Single Maximizer and account management services, along with a dedicated team that understands your needs as an artist. It really is hard to beat what Nectar Distro and Trackstar's bring to the table. So hit up 520collective.com/nectar to get started now.
We're back at it again with some monthly Wavemaker picks for August 2022. Right out the gate, we had the TLS Cypher 2 by TLS, a follow-up to the group's first TLS Cypher released earlier this year. Both are phenomenal tracks with great lyricism and production. And then Just Raised had another great album with Summer Solstice 2. That's Solstice with an S-O-U-L. So make sure to give that a spin as the summer turns to fall. Play It Safe by Swayze and Bats is as hard-hitting of a track as you would expect from those two. And then Sanctify the Kid by Noah Brown is a real gem that could easily fly under the radar if you didn't know any better. But now you do know better, so go listen. Pick number 5 for this month is Throne by Jeremiah Blygen, Dre Murray, and Lex Divine, one of the best CHH tracks of the year. And hey, if you want to hear more of my thoughts about Throne, you should tune in to Dino Nuggets, the new 520 Collective show with myself, Alexander Bitterling, and Daniel Potts. Each month, we'll be bringing 3 music picks to the table to listen to and discuss, and Throne was one of mine this month. Go to www.mixcloud.com/520radio or navigate there through the 520 Collective website, and make sure to tune into the podcast next month for more Wavemaker picks from me, Darius Mullen. Peace.
Hey guys, I want to say thank you for listening to the 520 Collective podcast. This month's Industry Insider interview is coming up in just a moment. Before we listen in, make sure to check out 520collective.com. It is the home for indie news and faith-based hip-hop. Follow us on social media, including Twitter and Instagram at 520_co. Also, to get exclusive content, hit up our AudioMac account where you'll find extended interviews, playlists, and more. Let's jump into this month's interview. Welcome to this month's Industry Insider interview, brought to you officially by bookkeeper247.com. Welcome to the Industry Insider interview here on the 520 Collective podcast. Shout out to our sponsor, the Bookkeeper 24/7. Check them out at tbk247.com. Joining me right now on the 520 Collective phone line from Kingdom Time Media and the Kingdom Choice Awards, it's my guy Marcus Hall. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Oh man, we just hanging out, getting ready for this year's award show, and I know it's going to be big, man. We got a lot of stuff to dive into and talk about, but let's just start. Kind of give the people a brief, little historical recap, man. Let them know just, who you are and how Kingdom Time Media and the Kingdom Choice Awards kind of came to be.
All right, man. Well, as you said, my name is Marcus Hall. I'm based in New York, and I started out in Christian hip hop from doing outreach ministry with an outreach concert actually called Higher Calling. That I started in 2006 or 7. And, I just had the vision to do an outreach concert in, the hood in Brooklyn. Actually, to be specific, was Bedford-Stuyvesant, where the notorious B.I.G. and Jay-Z and all of them come from. It was in a park there called Herbert Von King Park. Yeah, just had the vision, man, to use the Ministry of Christian Hip Hop to do an outreach concert, to reach that demographic of people. And yeah, man, that's where the journey began for me in Christian hip hop. And it evolved from me doing that event. I started to manage some artists. And then I launched my company, Kingdom Time Entertainment, as a multimedia promotional / production company. And the vision behind that was really just to add some support to the Christian hip hop community in New York. So giving them support as far as promoting artists, doing visuals, music videos, and promoting Christian hip hop events. And it all started from there, man. And then in 2009, I launched the Kingdom Choice Awards. And since then, I launched the website Kingdom Time Media.
and my company actually evolved to Kingdom Time Enterprises LLC. We're here now, you know?
Yeah, man. Well, and I think, most people, if you are familiar or you're around the Christian hip hop space, you know about the Kingdom Choice Awards, right? It's become kind of the official award show of this space. I mean, I know there's some other awards that are out there, but like, I guess just what was your vision for the KCAs whenever you kicked off back in 2009?
Yeah, well, it actually started. There was a group, a Christian hip hop duo called People's Choice. They used to do. I was a part of a text group with them, and they used to do like a daily verse thing. But it was a verse from local rappers' music. So they would post a daily verse in this chat that we had, and it was really just a form of encouragement to the artist. And I had a vision to do an award show, same kind of heart, but I was more so focused on the artists in New York, because as I said, becoming a part of the community as a curator, an event promoter, a manager and stuff, I saw the hardship that many Christian hip hop artists had to face, because they wasn't accepted by the world and mainstream secular hip hop, because obviously they were saying Jesus. They was rejected by local churches also because they were doing hip hop. They were pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I seen the discouragement for a lot of the artists a lot of the artists faced. So I had the vision to start an award show to acknowledge their work and to, just honor those who have been trailblazing. So that was the vision behind starting the Kingdom Choice Awards. And as I said, we kicked it off in 2009. It was really just a New York City award show that, reached maybe as far as some of the tri-state areas, but predominantly for New York City. And yeah, man, it started from there. And that was the vision behind it, really, to encourage. It was more of a in-reach, to reach into, the body, the community of Christian hip-hop, to say, hey, we encourage y'all, we see you, we salute you,
Yeah, man. So did you have any idea at that point that it would blossom into what we now know as the KCAs, like in its current form?
Absolutely not, man. I mean, as I said, it was just, to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing with the first one. I was just getting into like video production. I was just like, I created the production I just had the vision, and I just created like the production for the show. I was very new to, video production at the time. But it just, as I said, man, we barely got through that first event, man. There's a testimony behind that. It was just like, wow. But we got through it. It was a blessing. It was a no-brainer that we had to do it again the following year. And it just really just grew like to something that, wow. And that's when, you just know something's God and something's bigger than yourself, because I was just a guy who really just had a vision. Not much resources, no team like that. And yeah, man, God's grace was sufficient,
Yeah, man. So one thing I wanted to definitely ask you, because it's always interesting when you get different perspectives on this, but in kind of your guys' description for the Kingdom Choice Awards, you talk about how the KCAs have kind of been referred to as the source awards for Christian hip hop because it embodies the authenticity of that CHH culture. Whenever you are looking at the CHH world, the CHH culture, what is it that you see that continues to drive you to put in the work each and every year?
Yeah, I mean, it's more so based on what I've seen rather than what I'm seeing right now. But what I've seen is that I've seen Christian hip hop work. And when I say work, I mean I've seen how effective and how it has impacted lives and how it's changed lives and sustained even the lives of those who are already in the faith. So I've seen how God has used it and how he continues to use it, because, you know, all right, we know already, like, Christian hip-hop, well, hip-hop, let's just say hip-hop is more than just a genre of music. You know, hip-hop is a culture, and unfortunately it's a culture that has a lot of negative connotations to it. You know what I'm saying? So it teaches this generation, and our young people especially, it teaches them how to dress. It teaches them how to handle conflict and resolve conflict. It teaches them how to value women. It teaches them how to value, you know, themselves. It teaches them a lot of things, and sadly teaches them a lot of negativity. Like when we was younger and hip hop, they used to talk about drugs, but like drug dealing to make money. Now they're promoting drugs abuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, things have changed. So I believe that with Christian hip hop is the conduit in which, and the voice, I should say, in which we can communicate the gospel. We can communicate the message of the kingdom in a way that they can hear, or they'll even pay attention. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the things it's done for me and others who I know, I think what Christian hip hop did, it made people know this hip hop generation know that you can love God and still be yourself. Because back in the day, it used to be you get saved, you become part of your local church. And now it's like, well, you can't dress like that no more. You can't wear Timbs. You can't wear jeans. You can't wear, a fitted. You have to rid yourself off of that culture, because we wear snakeskin shoes here, and three-piece suits, and because of that, it caused a lot of people to leave the church and go back into the world, because it was like, I'm not me anymore. I'm being told or forced to be somebody who I'm not. And unfortunately, I feel like, especially in a lot of the traditional churches, they've tried to play the role of the Holy Spirit by telling people, hey, you can't do this no more. And instead of just pouring into people, ministering to them, teaching them the word of God, and allowing the Holy Spirit to do his work. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever the Holy Spirit wants to take away from you, he will do so over time. So for me, I also believe that's a very big role that Christian hip hop has played and continues to play in just even in the body, letting young people know, hey, you can still be you. And a testimony of that is even at the Kingdom Choice Awards last year, some young people came for the first time. One of them sent me a message, and his words were, I found my place. I found this thing. He said, I'm so glad that I came, because I didn't even realize that this movement actually existed. And I felt like I found something that I could be a part of. That's it. I found something I could be a part of and be myself. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's where I believe Christian hip hop is still very much needed and relevant, and that's why I think it's important that our community don't lose the essence of what their calling is by trying to be so much like mainstream hip hop or accepted by them. You know what I mean?
Well, man, I know one thing with full certainty is that in the years that you've been doing the Kingdom Choice Awards, you have had the top level artists, coming through the Kingdom Choice Awards on a yearly basis. If you're just thinking back, what are some of the kind of standout, maybe performances or just memories from the Kingdom Choice Awards for you?
I'll tell you, definitely one of my favorite moments was when we honored Flame, and Flame delivered a speech when he received his award, and it was so profound. Like, that's one of those speeches to me that will be listed in Christian hip hop history. You know what I mean? Because it's always going to be relative. He really spoke to the community, educated, even for those who don't follow or don't, or were kind of on the fence with Christian hip hop. He educated them, and it was empowering, enlightening, and encouraging. And at the same time, it was a speech that, if your heart was open, you were able to receive in some way, even correction. Like, hey, guys, this is what this is. This is how it should be done. This is what we should do. Let the main thing be the main thing. Long live Christian rap. And that was profound and powerful, because just in that statement by itself, let the main thing be the main thing. That was saying a lot. Like, I didn't, after he said what he said, he wrapped it up with that, and that just made it clear. Like, listen, what is the main thing? What is the main thing that needs to continue to be the main thing? The main thing is Christ, the gospel. That's the main thing. And it was very powerful. So yeah, that was definitely one of the most powerful moments, one of my favorite moments. Maybe I'll give you two more. When Canton Jones closed, he broke every rule, but it was just dope. Like, he went on the stage and he said, listen, I want whoever wants to come on stage, come on stage. And a bunch of the artists, it was mostly artists who got on stage with him. But man, he did a medley and literally rocked the house, and then ended it with a worship song. My God is an awesome God. And had every hand lifted, and it was just so dope, so powerful. That was definitely one of my other highlights. So many. And I think one of my other favorites was when there was a cypher. It featured Angie Rose, AI The Anomaly, some of our local guys, or East Coast guys. I think YP, Richard Dorfin, I think Alok. Yeah. And that was really dope. Richard Dorfin smashed it at the end and killed it, where it was a standing ovation. And even when they walked off the stage, the place was still going. And I remember the cameraman kind of ran the camera on the crowd, and you had brothers from Track Stars, DJ Wado, Jordan Armstrong in the front. All of these people's in the front, and they were going crazy, man. Even Jordan Armstrong was like, yo, New York, man, this is New York. And it was just that was a dope moment. But yeah, so many to mention, but yeah, just, I'll give you those three.
Well, that's what's up, man. And again, guys, joining me on the 520 Collective phone line from Kingdom Time Media and the Kingdom Choice Awards, it's Marcus Hall. And this year's KCAs are happening Saturday, October 1st. And you're making a little move this year, man. You're stepping it up. You want to tell the people the big news for this year's Kingdom Choice Awards?
Yeah, well, we're moving to a brand new location. We're doing it here for the first time. So for 9 years straight, we did it at the Cumble Theater, which is located in downtown Brooklyn. This year, we're moving it to a theater in Manhattan on Upper Broadway. Actually, the Peter J. Sharp Theater, which is located inside of the Symphony Space. So yeah, we're literally going to the heart of New York City, man. It is a big move. It's a bigger theater just in the heart of the city, in Manhattan. And yeah, it's definitely a leap of faith for us, because it's going to double the capacity of the other theater that we used to use. But it's a leap of faith, man. A leap of faith. We're bringing Christian hip hop to Broadway. We're just trusting God, man.
Yeah. So So what kind of started those wheels in motion to make this step, to make this jump, to make this leap to Broadway, man?
Yeah, well, it's been years. Like, I went to this. I had a meeting with the director of this same theater about six or 7 years ago. So it's not like something that just came up. I was looking at that theater for years. I always had the vision to go bigger. But when I went and I had the meeting with the director, looked at the place and got some of the information about what it's going to take to do it, I just didn't feel a green light. You know what I mean? I just knew, I didn't think that we were ready at that time. But it was just something like, I've always said, we don't want to stay where we are. I always felt like there was bigger, a next level. You and I both know, like, in order to go to the next level, there's always going to be an element of faith that it's going to take.
Oh, I mean, that's what I was going to ask, is just like, what was that green light for you that 2022 was the year that this was going to happen?
I think the green light was, I just felt like it was time. I felt like, we have the experience. I felt ready, like, okay, we're ready to do this. We're ready to, make this step. We have the experience. We know what we're doing as far as the actual production. And then going to the theater itself, because it's not one of those theaters you walk in and say, hey, is the date available? Okay, we want to book it. They literally have to approve you, So we went in there, met with the director, and I just felt a certain grace with the director. She said, let's do it. To me, that was it, man. That was the green light. I felt like if it wasn't the time, there would have been some roadblocks, but it was just like a gracious situation that I was like, all right, let's go. It's time, man. Making moves like this is not always like, yeah, let's go, but you can't be afraid to fail, because if you're afraid to fail, I always say it like this: I'd rather try and fail than fail to try.
So yeah. I think that, when it comes to the Kingdom Choice Awards, there is already this perception of just quality and consistency that goes along with what you guys are doing, right? And now you're raising that bar up, even more. Obviously, we know that you can't kind of give everything away, but is there anything that you can share with us as far as like what's in the works, what's being planned for this year that people should maybe be excited for when it comes to the award show?
Well, I'll say this: the production level has always been. We've always strived to present a great production. The production level is definitely going to a whole new level this year. So the quality of production is definitely going to be next level. The space is an upgrade from where we were. The way that I'm trying to put the performance lineup together, I think it's going to be very unique, because it's going to be a combination of the OGs of Christian hip hop with some of the young gunners of Christian hip hop, and then a couple of those mid-tier people who's kind of like, you could call the young veterans. You know what I'm saying? It should be a great balance when it comes to like performance. And I'm hoping, I'm believing that, the OGs will be able to pour into the younger generation in many different ways, whether it be through a performance, showing them this is how it's done, just by a word, impartation, and at the same time, maybe the OGs can be inspired and, encouraged by some of the younger ones who they paved the way for. So I think, yeah, man, it should be a dope experience. Once we get the turnout that we hope to get, I think it will be a great night, man.
Hey, but one person that we know that is going to be there, that is, and you mentioned him earlier, the ambassador, who's going to be this year's honorary recipient. Talk about that, man. Like, what went into selecting ambassador for this award?
Yeah, well, Ambassador's always been somebody who's been on our list. It's funny, I think me and Richie Righteous was speaking, and he, mentioned Ambassador. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, maybe you could reach out to him. So Rich actually had reached out to him for us and connected us. And we had a talk, man, and it was cool. It was a good vibe. And, we told him what we wanted to do, as somebody who is a legend in Christian hip hop. And that's what KCA does. We salute our legends, man, and we give people their roses while they can still smell them. And Ambassador, to be honest, has been long overdue. He's a general in CHA. So it was dope when we spoke, and he was like, "Okay, cool, I'm down for receiving to being this year's honorary recipient." And that was dope. Yeah, so I was excited. The team was excited when he said yes. And then I think I was even surprised, like, when we actually announced it and we released the flyer and the press release, the response that it got, that a lot of people, like, I realized like he is close to a lot of people's heart. Definitely looking forward to, giving him his props and honoring him at this year's event.
Yeah, man, for sure. And just give us a rundown. I mean, obviously you got the honorary recipient, but there are a lot of different awards that are given out as part of the KCAs. Can you give us just a brief rundown of some of the highlights as far as the awards that are involved?
Sure. We have, I think it's like 13, 14 categories, but we have male hip hop artists, female hip hop artists, rap single, hip hop lyricist, hip hop album, podcast and radio show, music video, urban gospel singer award, hip hop collaboration, UK Christian hip hop, and a few more. But yeah, they're like the main ones.
Nice, man. And so again, the awards is going down October 1st. It's Saturday at the Symphony Space on Broadway, the Peter J. Sharp Theater. So if people want to be in attendance, man, what do they need to be doing?
Hey, listen, I'll say this. Get your tickets from now. As much as it is a bigger venue and it is a leap of faith, I'm still believing for a sold-out event. Grab your tickets, man. There's still VIP tickets available. So if you want, grab you some VIP tickets. You'll be seated up front in the VIP section. You'll also receive a VIP gift bag sponsored by a company. Forgive me, I can't remember their name off the top of my head. But yeah, just come through, man. This Kingdom Choice Awards is more than like just an event and an award show. It's an experience, and for those who love Christian hip hop, it will be an experience that you will appreciate, that you will love. And for those who don't really know about it, but would like to experience Christian hip hop, I think and I believe that Kingdom Choice Awards is the perfect. If you want to see Christian hip hop in its authenticity, this is the event that you need to be at. It gets no realer than this,
And I know we haven't talked about it yet, so I want to make sure we give a chance to tell people where to go and support as well, because it's not just this one event, and that's what is all about as far as Kingdom Time Media, man. How do people get plugged in? How do they follow what's going on throughout the year and support what y'all are doing?
Yeah, well, they can go to the website kingdomtimemedia.com. They can subscribe to our newsletter. So when we send out our email blast, you can get to know what's going on there. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Kingdom Time Media. Also, Facebook, Kingdom Time Media. And yeah, man, just stay connected with us. Also, Twitter, Kingdom Time Media. And you can also follow the Kingdom Choice Awards at Kingdom Choice Awards NYC. That's on Instagram as well. But yeah, definitely get connected with us through the website in order to stay connected to know what's going on.
obviously we know between now and October 1st that we know what you got going on during that time. But man, starting October 2nd, what's next on your plate, man? What do you got coming up after the awards show?
You know what? Usually after the award show, I go in sleep mode. Seriously, after the award show, I kind of I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to see nothing. But I'm in talks with a couple people. We're thinking about starting a conference in New York because we feel like we need that. And I'll be honest, even with the KCA, for me, I feel like I'm coming to. I don't know if it's the end of the chapter. I'm not sure. I'll know for sure. What I do know is that by the end of this one, God willing, I'll have a clearer view on what it is. Because I feel like I'm getting to that place where I would like to pass it off or establish a team that can run it by themselves. But yeah, after KCA, bro, I take a break because it's a lot. It is a lot to do. So I take a break, a mental break, everything. I just chill. And then after that, again, the only thing that I'm thinking about right now is possibly collaborating with a few entities and doing this conference, man. So starting this conference, and that more likely won't happen until the next year. But other than that, just working with some of the local talent. But there's no clear vision on what's happening directly after KCA, to be honest.
Well, Marcus, man, I'm glad that you were able to take the time out and join us here on 520 Collective Podcast. We're super thrilled to be plugged in and to get to be a little part of what's happening, and excited with what God's doing through Kingdom Time Media as well, man. So thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to you as well, Eric, and 520. You guys are one of our media sponsors on the show, and it's just great to have you guys on board for the first time, and hopefully you guys will be on forever or until we're done. But we appreciate your support, man, and again, thanks for having me on your platform. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, man, let's go. We will definitely be down as long as we got that opportunity to do so. Again, guys, make sure you go check it out. It's kingdomtimemedia.com. If you're able to get to New York on Saturday, October 1st, go on there and buy a ticket now for the Kingdom Choice Awards. It's going to be an amazing event, that I can guarantee. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of the 520 Collective Podcast. Shout out to all of our episode sponsors, including The Bookkeeper 24/7. Again, check them out at tbk247.com. And we will catch you guys on the podcast next month. Let's go. All right, we're so glad that you tuned in for this episode of the 520 Collective Podcast. In fact, we don't want it to end here. Make sure to join our server on Discord and be part of the growing community that's centered around faith-based hip-hop. Let us know your thoughts about the topics covered in this episode and tap into a variety of live events. Go to 520collective.com/Discord now to join.